It's a big deal to be free of masturbation and looking at porn and chasing every girl you see. That is a big deal. Most people, they don't reach that state. They don't know what that is. Worse than that, they don't even want to reach that state. They're so deeply dipped in delusion that they actually think it's healthy to do those things. And worse than that, the people who are supposed to be role model for society, doctors and scientists and others, a lot of them say it's good for you to do that. This is healthy. You're supposed to release. You don't want to get stressed. Oh, what's my favorite? You'll get prostate problems and cancer. Man, all this stuff is opposite. But very few will realize this because you have to be out of the societal norm conditioning in order to realize this. The things we talk about here on this channel, this isn't the kind of education you get growing up. You got to work hard to find it. You can't even, like, how are you going to hear about it? It's only God's grace that you find a book or somebody talking like this. I'm not the only one. There's people out there, not many. And most will, because they don't understand what we're saying, they don't have the hard drive or the gigabytes, the space to understand this, they're going to bash it. That's what the ego does when it doesn't understand something. When something threatens the ego's existence, which is just full of addictions and attachments and things that keep this low vibrational world going, when that gets threatened, then it sends thoughts into the mind to justify and rationalize the behavior, and then to basically crucify anybody that's going against that. So I'm talking to those few who, because of grace, because you come into this life already with a higher mainframe, that something really resonates with this knowledge. So this is what we're talking about. So that's the first phase. When you break this, you can say, gross level of addiction that the sex addiction takes. The internet and the porn and the masturbating and just the obsessed, sex-crazed mind and compulsion to keep getting dopamine hits via stimulating your sex center. Those that have become free from the gross level compulsions and behavior, congratulations, because most don't. This channel, we like to push harder. We want to keep pushing the envelope to go higher. That's why I'm making this video, and I'm also introducing my last book is out. It's a spiritual book. And so I break down what spirituality is. I like to demystify things. It's not a big deal. When we talk about spirituality, we're talking about your true natural state, free of erroneous compulsions and addictions and attachments and all these things that keep you small, that keep you confined to this human dimension, small human level. Your spiritual nature is something higher than that. You're more tapped in now to a universal power and a universal intelligence instead of this small, retracted little human intelligence. And so I like to break those things down in the book and make it, it's very simple. It's not easy to do because the conditioning that we have is very strong. We have to burn through that. And we have to get dirty before we get clean, meaning all these addictions and attachments, they have to come up first. You can't transcend something if it's not up for you to see it. First, you admit and be aware, like, oh yeah, these things are actually keeping me small. Yeah, but society says they're good for, I don't care what they say. Like, I can feel it. It's keeping me small. I need to like go beyond this. So there's awareness of it. But then you realize, damn, I don't have the power to do it though. My willpower is not sufficient enough to just reach down to my core level and pull out all these subconscious tendencies and compulsions that keep dragging me into debauchery. Like, I can't stop doing it, especially on a subtle level. In the subtle level, well, let me finish. That stuff has to come up so that you see it, and then you have to realize you don't have the power to stop, and then some invitation gets born in you to reach out to some greater power that does have the power to help you. This is what the book's about, and this is what real spirituality is. That's all spirituality is. Trading in your human, limited, small little mind power, willpower for a greater power. That's what spirituality is. That's it. So all this dirt has to come up. You have to suffer that for a little bit, and then you start to realize there's some greater power doing for you what you couldn't do for yourself. That's transformation. But transformation isn't pretty. That's the thing that's missing in a lot of the spiritual talks. Like the transformation's very gritty and dirty for a while. It's alchemy. All that pressure to crush that piece of coal to make it, to make it into a diamond. You know how much pressure that is? That's a lot of pressure. That's what spiritual transformation is. Pressure, pain, suffering. Now, to what degree? That's individual. But there's nobody that just kind of skips along and says, oh, I'm like awake now and enlightened and everything's good. Yeah, if you hear people say that and they never went through the grind, it's not real. Just wait. They'll have some catharsis and they're going to be all messed up. You're more ahead of them if you're already experiencing a catharsis, actually. There's no true being who's come into the true nature of themselves who hasn't went through some kind of deep bottom or catharsis. It's impossible. It just doesn't work like that. So the sheltered, the spiritually sheltered people, yeah, their time's coming. I say that not to bash them, but to give you confidence that there's nothing wrong with you. If you feel like, whoa, why am I having such a hard time? I'm listening to these other people and reading these books and they act like you just, kind of recognize you're spiritual and enlightened and that's it. Yeah, I'm debunking that stuff. I do that too in my book. Not as a negative, pessimistic thing to bash people, but I'm talking to the true, you can say sannyasins or spiritual devotees who really authentically have a desire to grow and their mind is producing a lot of negative self-talk about their present situation and they're confused about it. That's why I say what I say, to let you know it's okay. So, back to the lust. See, intruders. Real lust, after you quit the porn and masturbation, all that, the epicenter of the lust, it's a very invisible tendency that it doesn't dissolve so easily, and it hides in your thoughts. It's a girl. It hides in your thoughts, your imagination. It hides in your motives. It's in there somewhere. See, that's why it's like if somebody, once you're really free of all that, the subtle lust and edging, that's the final door. Then your life is like new. It's like, what am I going to do now? You don't realize how much energy was taken up and was being burnt up by lust and edging. Subtle level. You just don't know until you know. You realize at some point, holy shit, every single thing almost that I did in my day, directly or indirectly, was related to some tendency or motive that had lust and edging in there somewhere. About like trying to see maybe there'll be some girl action, I get a dopamine hit. And see, that's another thing. Lust hides in that, in insecurity and the need for validation from the opposite sex. Isn't it? See, for most, it's not enough. If a stray dog comes up to you and likes you, you might appreciate that, but it's not the same as if some stray girl comes up to you and likes you, if you're in that lust. You see how deep there's like we have some deep inadequacy hiding in there. And we can say, well, it's because we didn't have parents like Yogananda, a great divine mother with the gurus, Lahiri Mahashai, and so she just loved him, Yogananda, to death and gave him so much nice female energy and affection. Yogananda didn't even have the need to why even have a girlfriend or get married? Like, there was no point. Not to mention he had a different destiny. So most of us would come from broken homes and broken families, so there's a very strong deficit of female energy in our life. So then we get a girlfriend and we're like, whoa. Then we get crushed when she leaves or when it messes up, and then the girls can smell that. They can smell that we're an easy target, and then they use that for manipulation, and then we end up hating them and resenting them, and then we join the alpha male bandwagon and just point out all the things wrong with the girls, never looking at our own self and say, well, you know, stuff wrong with me too. That's what you do when you get higher conscious. You don't even care anymore about what's wrong with other people. Like, who cares? You just don't go around them. Like, there's no point to go around them, because now you're operating more via law of attraction, law of frequency. You can just tell, like, okay, that they're not really, they're not matching. So, like, why, unless we're doing some kind of business or there's some reason, why am I going to spend my own personal time and energy because it's not a match? But you're not, like, faulting them. Why? Like, every human being's imperfect. You just kind of move according to inner vibration. That's what comes when you're free of lust. I got to check and see if intruders are around. You can't get those higher downloads and that intuitive inner feeling and thoughts until we're free of, like, lust. Lust can take the form of, in the sexual arena, money, fame, property, prestige, all that. Lust means craving. I need something out here to make me feel better. I need something out here to complete me. Look all the news and the internet, and if I have my own private jet and car and everything, then and plenty of money in the bank, and oh good, okay, then I can, like, not worry. Man, those people are full of worries. You know how much stuff they got to take care of and worry about? How do you even know if anybody likes you anymore after that? They're all after you. They have an agenda too. They want to get in with you somehow, and it's a mess. Your problems don't go away. That's why any true, mostly, it depends on one's destiny. There's been rich enlightened people also, but that was the universe wanted them to be. It's not because they had a personal desire for it, but most, and they too will agree, that a simple life is best. Simple life is best, so that there's less distractions for the mind. Mind doesn't get bothered with a bunch of things. Like, life is hard enough, even if you have a simple life. See? So this subtle lust, though, that hides, like I said, in our thoughts and feelings, you have to come to realize, and you will at some point, that can't totally be eradicated without grace. Whatever words you want to use, it doesn't matter. You can call it Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or Shiva or Vishnu or Yogananda. It doesn't matter. Or you can just pray to God in its own formlessness. You don't have to put a face to it. Try all these different ways and see what works best for you. The way that's for you has already been downloaded in you, but we have to go through the evolutionary journey in order to discover what your way is. And you will have patience. And then I notice when I try things, that's what I mean by live life to its fullest. Go try everything, and then you discard things quicker, and you don't have, like, this catalog of, like, confusion about should I try this or that in your mind. You've already tried everything. That's why I said in the past, I wrote this in the autobiography book, that I went to every church in the phone book to see which one resonates, and I found one. SRF, Self-Realization Fellowship. Yogananda started that. I was like, okay, this is good. This is what appeals to me. So that's the last door, the last step, is you start to cultivate this relationship with the divine, which is inside you. Your individual little personal human self starts to merge with your universal self. This is the game. And you sometimes you can contemplate and say, wait a minute though, if the universal self, if that's what I am in essence, then what are we talking about then? If the personal self is just a delusion, what's there to merge? Yeah, be careful when you start talking to us. Sometimes they try to talk like that in the comments. That's your mind thinking it understands things. This is the game of alchemy that has to be played out. This is what it is. There's a sense of this little individual human personal self, and there's the truth, which is this spacious, invisible, formless self, which never dies, and the personal self starts to get merged more and more and more with this universal self. That's why it helps to be free of these negative patterns and habits and addictions, because those seem to pose as obstructions for the personal self, because it creates a lot of restlessness in the mind and in the nervous system. So then you're not going to have a sense or an experience of your universal self, because your attention is going to be on the play of like distraction. This is why I'm a proponent of being free of lust, because that's one of the biggest distractions, at least in my life, that there ever was. You get rid of that, the other things become easy, because you get higher downloads, your intelligence gets higher, and you start to just cut things that don't belong. The other thing I want to mention, this thing's not about suppression. People who don't understand what's being shared here, their mind steps it down onto the level that they understand, which isn't what I'm saying, but they think it is. They think, oh, you just like having desires bad, lust is bad, wanting a girlfriend's bad, wanting sex is bad, wanting money, wanting a car, all this stuff is bad. This is what their mind tells them. That I'm saying that. And I'm like saying the opposite. I'm saying go do all that. You can't help it anyway. If that desire there in you is strong, you need to go like do your thing. I did. And then organically in time, you'll see none of that stuff really gives any deep satisfaction, and you'll organically renounce it yourself, not because somebody's telling you to. You see the process like it's a process. You gotta go like, oh, you don't just like listen and say, oh yeah, sounds good. I'm gonna like just do that. You can't do it. It's an undoing. You have to become undone. That takes time, because our will and our karma is super strong. So you need to go experience life, which you are anyway, but don't beat yourself up about it. They think I like am beating them up, so then they beat me up. I'm like, bro, I didn't even touch you, man. I'm telling you, like, it's normal to have all these desires. No, but then you're saying like it's not. Yeah, it's both. It's both. Have you realized the real truth is paradoxical? Anytime we try to talk about it, it's not going to really make sense. Only you can intuit it. They don't make sense. If your intuitive faculty is not functioning, this isn't going to make sense. Your mind's going to be trying to grasp it. It's not going to make any sense. There's a comment, a guy, he was honest. He says, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, exactly. All right, let's see if we missed anything. Yeah, I think we hit everything. So at some point, all this lust, addict, edging energy, at least this is what happened for me. Well, it's going to happen for everybody, because energy can't be destroyed. When all that energy stops being projected into your habits and your addictions, automatically, man, you're going to have more. This is where the real creativity comes from. You start to draw things out of, like, you ever notice there's some songs and movies, they weren't made by the mind. They like came out of like emptiness or somewhere. Those movies and songs, they're like timeless. They're going to be in forever, because it's an eternal flavor there. You start dipping into that, but it's not you're doing it. It's a result of your energies being purified, because you're not engaging and wasting your energy on all these like nonsense things. So then all this energy is still there, and then it starts to get channeled into what you're supposed to do in life. And don't think that should look a certain way. I should be a teacher, I should be the president, I should own my own business. You may not do nothing, man. There's Himalayan yogis who just stay in the cave. That's what they do, because that's what they're supposed to do. The destiny is that's what they do. They emit vibrations that help the world on a collective level. There's others who just plant a garden. They like to play in their garden, or they make sculptures. Then you have others who are maybe platform speakers. Then you have doctors. There's no standard. So don't let the ego come in and think that you got to like do something big. You got to catch all these things. But I'll tell you this, your life force gets more pure and clean. It's not being dragged around everywhere by these tendencies and compulsions. This is a real gift. You can go to the park and you just chill. Like you're not thinking about like if you're going to see a girl or not. Even if a girl walks by, what difference does it make? If a girl walks by, a guy walks by, a kid walks by, a dog walks by, it's kind of like, oh, what difference does it make? That's freedom. You didn't try to renounce that or do that. No, it just happens. In the meantime, if you notice the girl more than all the other things, okay, cool. Notice her more then. Don't let the mind like beat you up. Oh man, I'm not high enough yet. You can't control this evolution. That's why I say just be aware, just be as conscious as you can. Watch the habits play out. You can't transcend something if you don't see what you're transcending. This is what I talk about in my book. That, for the most part. Like I spend a lot of time talking about that. There's chapters. You can see the preview. It's better. You can look at the table of contents and see some chapters. Just like my other books, I give the preview. The link is in the comment section. I pinned the comment so you can click on the link, so it's easy. Yeah, good. So welcome to this journey, man. It's a whole new life when you start to experience it without the eyes, the lustful eyes. It's just another deal. It's a great experience. Everybody should taste that before they leave the planet. Most won't. Like I said before, they not only is that not even an aspiration for them, they actually think it's good that they're doing it. They think that's like, yeah, it shows the identity they have with being a human. They think that's all they are is a human. There's no recognition of anything more subtle or higher than just the play of their own instincts and thoughts and feelings. Like they think that's what they are. That's called being automated. All right, I'm out. I'll see you guys.